of people like me up in your world. Abid, yeah, just being one of them. What names black people got for you? What names black people got for you? I'm just asking, what names do black people have for Muslims that are derogatory, that make Muslims feel that they are less than human? What names do Africans have for Muslims, bro? None. You got a bag of them. Kafir, Abid, pagan. Loads of them. Don't talk shit to me, bro. Don't talk shit to me. You motherfuckers are some of the most hip.
We found the country's black citizens often experience verbal abuse. We also discovered cases where racial prejudice had led to physical violence.
On May 21st, 2016, we were married and it was the happiest day of our lives.
But the year leading up to it was the hardest year we'd ever experienced. We endured emotional, mental, and physical trauma.
Racial slurs, death threats, and slander from some of those closest to us.
And we're told to give up on each other based solely on our difference of skin tone and background. I had a loaded gun pressed to the back of my head after being asked simply, do you want to marry this guy?
Brothers, we're not black. Let's stop talking like we're black.
You know that the first enslaver of African people was the Arab Muslim, before the white man even came. Before the white man even came, the white man, to come and enslave black people, yeah? He was the first enslaver. 642 AD, bro. White people didn't start enslaving until the 1400s. You had a way head start on white people, and you still do it today. Your people still do it today. So, bro, you can't talk shit to me, bro. I'm sorry. None of you can. And that's why I tell black people to wake up from this bullshit. You talk about, yeah, white people. Bro, your first enslaver and current enslaver, is an Arab Muslim. Say what you want about the British Empire. We can go into that. Say what you want about colonialism. We can go into that. Nowhere can you buy a black person in this world except for the Arab Muslim world. You can't buy no black people no more. Black people are on auction blocks in Europe, but they're on auction blocks in the Muslim Arab world though. Muslims under Islam are still enslaving African people in Libya, in Saudi, in Sudan, right now. You have absolutely no grounds to talk to me about anything about Islamophobia, bro. No grounds whatsoever. Yeah, it's like talking to it's like you're a racist trying to tell someone else they're a racist, and you ain't even looked in your whole home yet. Now. Right now.
When come here, I was sold. So after I was sold, they will ask me to they demand a ransom. 3 months, they will start beating you. From a week, they will start beating you so that your money will come quickly. So I was there for 8 months before I could pay my money, and I went out. Merciless beating. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark, they're beating. With electric. Even your boot, they took something like a sharp object. Understand? Most of them lost their life there.
Go chat to your people before you come and chat to me. Go chat to your Muslim brethren as to how they view black people before you come and chat to me. Don't dare ever.
$2.8 million women work as maids in the Middle East. Many have their passports confiscated on arrival, and some find themselves trapped inside homes where they're overworked, underpaid, and physically abused. And physically abused.
the truth, which is that our beloved Prophet Muhammad was a human rights activist. He was a feminist in his own right, uplifted the women in his community.
They don't think of you as a human being, they think you as a slave to them. I went to the police station and I stayed there for 3 weeks. They called my boss and my boss was like, don't let her leave. We still need her.
Today she's on her way to the hospital to visit Mary, a Kenyan maid who is badly burnt in a fire at her employer's home in Jordan.
Maria kapiga nduru, wakaamka. Mama, nini Maria? Nachomeka.
False narrative, let's say a false narrative, that because we're a minority, that we're the same. No, we're Arabs, we're a minority too, we're a minority. But when you get to Arab land, it got us enslaved.
Nisaidie mama. Alipotamka, nilihisi kuna mtu ananipiga mateke.
So black people over here will think, oh no, see the Arab guys and the Pakistani guys are our friends because they're minorities too. Yeah? Go to their country, see how you're treated. Go and see how your friends treat you. Go and see how your friends really treat you. Nah, bro. They will enslave your ass, bro. You're Abid around them parts. Yeah? You're a slave around them parts. That's what you need to know as a black person. Black people need to wake the fuck up with this shit, man. Seriously.
For a month, no one in Jordan, not her employers or the recruitment agency, informed Mary's family of the accident until she was put on the plane home.
Now this is her. As a mother, as a leader, I will not stand, I will not sit and watch this kind of... We are not animals.
Despite stories of abuse, thousands of women from Kenya and Ghana still sign up with recruitment agencies, like this one in Jordan.
ماشي الحال؟ لا والله احنا على تركيز السوق الاردني على الغانيات بالدرجه الاولى احسن من كينيا، انا بالنسبه لي احسن من كينيا؟ احسن من كينيا. احنا كينيا احلى. لا انا بقول لك هلا شوف الكينيه تعليمها اعلى، هدول الشعب لهم بيضوا هارد وركر. انا بعت لك اخر جروب وصل سمح لها؟ ايه هودي ايه صنع 11 بنت اياها؟ ايه بعقد شو خيي هيك يوصلوا كميه غير شكل. You are welcome here. And you have a good choice that you have Mr. Yusuf. He's one of the best agencies in Jordan.
Thank you, Dad. Yeah. You must call his dad.
Really? Thank you. حبيبي بلشنا. I appreciate. Thank you very much. And you too also so beautiful, really.
Thank you.
The abuse does happen, often behind closed doors and usually unreported. Some women, though, escape to safe houses, like this Caritas Center in Lebanon, where they are free to tell their stories.
He came where I was sleeping and he told me, I want you. And I told him, no, I can't, I'm married. And he told me, you're in my house, you have to obey my rules in this house. I was feeling confused, even I was wishing I would die. I was hurt. I don't remember it.
Marivik? Give me lighter. I don't think there is a human rights in this world. No way. Maybe in Europe, but not in the Middle East.
So black people over here will think, oh no, see the Arab guys and the Pakistani guys are our friends because they're minorities too. Yeah? Go to their country, see how you're treated. Go and see how your friends treat you. Go and see how your friends really treat you.
I don't think there is a human rights in this world. No way. Maybe in Europe, but not in the Middle East.
Nah, bro. They will enslave your ass, bro. You're Abid around them parts. Yeah? You're a slave around them parts. That's what you need to know as a black person. Black people need to wake the fuck up with this shit, man. Seriously.
Mary and Bela, The maid who was burnt while working in Jordan died of her injuries a month after she was returned to Kenya. Her family was never compensated, while the fight against the trade in domestic servants continues for Emma Mbura.
Kwa sababu wanakwenda Saudia ni wasichana wengi ambao mara nyingi si wasomi kutoka kwetu Uganda. Mimi leo siondoki hapa mpaka nikae na nyinyi wa mama kando na tupange hilo Kilifi County kama wanawake.
642 AD, Muslim Arabs came into Africa raping, robbing, pillaging, castrating, enslaving African people, have been doing for 1,400 years. And here you are on my chat as a Muslim and I'm an African and you're going to tell me that I'm Islamophobic. Bro, you know what you need to do with that? You need to go there.
Absolutely. That the Arab conquest of North Africa was a form of colonization that took place in the 7th century when Arab Muslims burst out of Saudi Arabia and conquered Egypt and went on to conquer the whole of North Africa. There were a lot of Berber tribes there. The Egyptian Copts were the original indigenes of the land, as well as the Berbers. And they were all conquered and Islamized and Arabized. That was also a form of colonization, definitely.
Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this?
Not to the extent that the West has become very critical. In fact, many Muslims don't even admit that there was any form of colonization. Even though if you talk to the Berbers, and let's be also aware that many of the Berbers have become Muslim, the Berbers will tell you they have been colonized. There's been Arab imperialism. The same thing in Egypt. The Copts know that they are the original, the indigenes of the place. They feel like they have been colonized. The same thing will happen we talk to Sudanese. They will tell you that Sudan was colonized by Arab Muslim invaders. So yes, they will not admit it, but there is that kind of history there.
Okay, thanks for that. I want to move on to the topic of slavery now. Did the Muslim empires practice slavery?
Absolutely. Slavery was a very important part of Islamic expansion in West Africa, and in fact in the Sudan, and from the very earliest period of Islamic penetration into Africa. It started by buying, purchasing slaves and trading in slaves. And then it went on from purchasing to raiding for slaves and capturing slaves deliberately, especially mainly black Africans, and transporting them into North Africa and into Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula, and onwards to the Ottoman Empire to Turkey. So slavery was a very endemic part of Islamic interaction with Africa. And in West Africa, the jihad's period of the 18th and 19th century involved massive slave raiding and slave trading. And many of the slaves that were captured and sent and sold and taken into the transatlantic slave trade, most of those who were doing the raiding at the time were Muslim communities because they were the dominant tribes. So a lot of that happened. That is not to say that non-Muslim communities were involved in raiding, but the dominant tribes were the Muslim communities that were doing the raiding at the time.
What's your name, bro?
Nice to meet you. I'm Nizzy.
Nizzy, how you doing, bro?
I'm alright.
Right, fire away, man.
Why do you think people are still converting to Islam despite the information being put out there about Arabs enslaving blacks before the Europeans?
Wow. I would say a lot of the conversions into Islam, let's say from black people, happen in prison. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I feel like if black people kind of stop going to prison, because I said I've got family members that have gone into prison Christian and come out Muslim.
Muslim gangs in UK high security jails are forcing prisoners to convert to Islam with threats and beatings. That's according to a new Ministry of Justice report.
A lot of the conversions happen in prison, and I just don't think the information's out there. I think people are really, like, when I put the information out there, right, and you could see facts, figures, evidence from their own books, from their own stuff, people still find it hard to believe it. And I don't And I think that speaks to the human condition, you know. I think it speaks to the fact that people want to believe the best about something, even in spite of it being what it is. Do you get what I'm saying? So what I do find is when I do put the information out there and I give the hadith or I give the information about it, people still find a way to justify it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, it's frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. It's very frustrating. I've been speaking about, you know, black people being enslaved by Islam for 2-3 years. And I mean, a lot of people have come to me and said, all right, I've given them that information.
They find out that labor regulations and laws in these countries do not apply to them. If they were to be subjected to any kind of exploitation or abuse, they would be left with no legal protection whatsoever. The employer is never held accountable, even if his violations against the worker are proven. What is truly tragic about this issue is the percentage of women who either got killed or committed suicide to escape the hell they lived in. One of the most known incidents that made international news headlines was the story of the Ethiopian housemaid in Lebanon. She fled to the Ethiopian embassy, calling for help. But the brother of the manager of the labor agency found her in front of the embassy. He forced her into the car while she was crying out for help. 2 days later, the girl committed suicide. No trial was ever conducted.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord.
أبان مينونة تعالي.
And be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom.
In one of the incidents, the Saudi family members inserted nails into the body of the housemaid. This was confirmed by the doctors, who clearly saw the nails on the X-ray. In spite of that, the Saudi government denied the accusations, and the Saudi family was never brought to justice. Aryawati, a mother of 3 children, and one of the victims of such torture, says that she had to work constantly because she was doing the household for the whole family.
I was called Islamophobe and anti-Somali just this morning because I wouldn't throw you under the bus, Sarah. This is ultra funky there. But that's the thing though, ultra, you know, like what you have to understand with this ideology is that it's a get down with us or lay the fuck down mentality. What you have to understand with this ideology is that it's a get down with us or lay the fuck down mentality. That is literally how they roll. Like, they will say certain things to you, and if you don't speak of Islam in glowing terms, then they just find a label for you. They call you an Islamophobe or Islamophobic or some next bullshit term that they'll find tomorrow to make up about people, you know, that don't basically talk great about their religion. When, you know, like I said to people already, this is a very arrogant and egotistical ideology you're dealing with. This is a very arrogant and egotistical ideology, and it is self-centered, okay? The people are very self-centered, okay? You must respect me, you must respect my religion. No, respect isn't. And I'm cognitive enough and I've analyzed this thing enough to know that it doesn't show me respect. So what the hell makes you think I should respect that which doesn't respect me? Okay? It's very weird how people think they just deserve respect. Why? Because you're part of a religion. No. You get respect when you show respect to me. Your ideology has clearly shown disrespect to people that look like me. So again, what makes you think I should show you or show your ideology respect? I tell you what, when you start getting the racist verses out of your scriptures, and when you start treating black people better than that, maybe you might get my respect. But until then, you get no respect over here. I'm just letting you know. You get absolutely no respect over here. Okay? So it is what it is.
Ganz ehrlich, der Islam wird in Deutschland kommen, ob du willst oder nicht. Deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. Sein Sohn wird Bart tragen. Okay? Und deine Tochter wird einen Bärtigen heiraten. So, und wir vermehren uns immer mehr. Ihr Deutschen kriegt ja keine Kinder. Ihr kriegt höchstens, wenn es hochkommt, 2 Kinder. Wir machen 7, 8. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Kollege? Und dann nehmen wir uns auch nochmal 4 Frauen, dann haben wir 22 Kinder. So, ihr habt vielleicht ein Kind und ein Hündchen. Ne? Und das war's. Kollege, das ist nicht unsere Schuld, das ist eure Schuld. Wenn ihr unsere Länder ausgebeutet habt, kolonisiert habt, damit du einen Mercedes fahren kannst und deine Digitalkamera da benutzen kannst, so macht Allah Azza wa Jal, der allmächtige Gott, macht das so, dass wir euch erobern, nicht mit Krieg hier in Deutschland, sondern mit Geburtenraten, erstens. Und zweitens, wir heiraten eure Töchter. Und deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. So, jetzt kannst du richtig einmal durchdrehen. Ja, man sieht schon richtig den Hass in deinen Augen.
Islam will take over the world. Yes.
Hey, Muhammad taught hatred. Islam is hatred.
Your kids will be Muslim. Your kids will be Muslim.
Hatred. That's why Islam has killed 12 my brother. You killed 12 my brother.
Okay? I don't care how upset you become. I don't care how angry you become, because what I also noticed is that they are some of the most emotionally challenged people that I've ever had the displeasure of interacting with. They're so full of emotion. They're crying about everything, angry about everything, always upset. It's just like, bro, just seriously, just chill the fuck out. If you don't like what you hear, you don't have to listen to it. Just go. The Arab slave trade has gone on for nearly 900 more years than the European slave trade went on for. Like, what is going on with black people in the Arab Muslim world? Like, what's going on? Like, they're still enslaving black people today, and black people are not rebelling against that shit. Like, what is going on with black Muslims? Like, why are you guys so docile? I don't get it. It really boggles my mind. Like, when it comes to the European region, they were standing up, and they still do. They were like, no, we're not going to be slaves. Fuck that. We'll rise. We'll rebel. We won't take that shit. But the black Muslim is like, it's like a puppy. He's like a puppy. And I've actually watched the interaction between some black Muslims and like Arabs. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, why are you acting so docile? Like, why are you such a fucking puppy? Like, where's your fucking manhood? And I'm thinking, did they do that much of a good job on the psyche of black people in the Muslim world for them to just be like totally, like their manhood is totally gone?
It's 2016, we were married and it was the happiest day of our lives.
But the year leading up to it was the hardest year we'd ever experienced. We endured emotional, mental, and physical trauma.
Racial slurs, death threats, and slander from some of those closest to us.
And we're told to give up on each other based solely on our difference of skin tone and background. I had a loaded gun pressed to the back of my head after being asked simply, do you want to marry this guy?
It seems like their manhood is totally gone.
black Muslim men in the Arab world are just, they castrate. That's what I'm trying to say. Just another bloke, because because of the barbary and the savagery in which it was done, it sent the fear into the DNA of the black men in that Muslim Arab world, for them to be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna say anything.
And then also offset of the Arab superiority complex that's inherent within traditional Islam. It's both. It's both, because they've come here and they see themselves as, okay, on one side, religiously, I should try and be Arab because that's a higher culture, and anything less is a lower culture. That's why you see a lot of these Asian brothers that you're getting married, but you're playing Fartaki and all these Arab nasheeds with the humming sound and the at your wedding, like you don't have a culture. You're getting married, and do you know what I mean? Because you have inferiority complex towards Arab culture, and when you go to Arab weddings, they're turning up, they're dabkaying and doing everything. So what's your beef? And they're dancing with swords. So what's your beef? Number one, they've internalized from an Islamic perspective Arab superiority, then from a neo-colonial perspective white superiority. So if your decent cultures are Arab cultures and white cultures, anything other than that is lower, is lesser, it's not decent, and it's something that they shouldn't be aspiring to be. And that's a major problem.
Let's talk about the traditional Islam and how it's been rooted in
Arab superiority. But did we even give the thing to Mohammed to speak? Let me clarify, because there's always people in the comments that are saying these brothers always like to speak about Islam, but they don't have any Islamic knowledge. They don't have any Islamic background. Oh, they need to study first. Mohammed Taya has been studying Arabic, Islamic studies, Quran, Tafsir, Hadith, Usul, Sirah, Fiqh for the past 3-4 years. Intensely, he's been in Egypt for 2 years at Jamiat al-Azhar, which is like one of the best places to study Islam in the world. So when he's talking about Islam, he knows what he's talking about. I've sat with shuyukh as well. I've studied in Mauritania, I've studied in Senegal, etc. When we speak about Islam, we're not just out here picking up translations of Sahih Bukhari like a lot of you and copy and pasting hadith from alislam.com and posting it in the thing. We know what we're talking about when we're talking, yeah? So don't at us, innit? Go on, okay.
No, I was thinking there's a few there's a few issues here. So obviously,
let's get that real quick. Sorry.
you're gonna have people quote, you know, love the Arabs for 3 things. Because the Quran was in Arabic, it was revealed in the Arabic Peninsula, and Prophet wasn't Arab. You're gonna get that. People are gonna say that. And some scholars in the history of Islam have used that to say, look at this, there's Arab superiority in Islam. That hadith is weak. That's the first issue, yeah? Then you're gonna have fatwa that say, in the tradition, that say the dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. What? And
traditional
wait, let me continue. The dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. What? And
traditional
wait, let me continue, please. And a black woman doesn't need a wali because she can't get married, basically. Because she finds it difficult to get married. So to make it easier,
that is found where?
That's social control. Please. Like the black woman doesn't have to wear niqab. Oh yeah, not wearing niqab as well.
That is found where? This traditional text. Which ones?
Shafi'i madhab. Some in the Maliki school as well. Hanbali madhab.
So
but that's a reflection of the society.
So this sickness is
It's a reflection of religion or anything like that. It's a reflection of the society that they were in and the failures that they, unfortunately,
these individuals
probably failed to. No, but the thing what's scary is that it's just come back full circle how people can use religion and some texts in religion and justify their racism. And they won't call it racist. They don't call it spiritual complex. Say, oh, hang on a minute. Prophet was Arab. Ergo, he was the best of creation. Ergo, we're the best people. That's not the case in Islam. And there's so many other things we can go into, like, you know.
You weren't doing too well before the Prophet came.
Exactly. when you look at the Zand Rebellion is a good example. When the Abbasids, throughout history, there was a fatwa that we have to castrate black men.
Yeah.
It seems like their manhood is totally gone. Black Muslim men in the Arab world are just, they castrate. That's what I'm trying to say.
When the Abbasids, throughout history, there was a fatwa that we have to castrate black men.
Yeah.
Because they're breeding too much and we don't want too, And this is
a real life fatwa,
And this is why the Abbasids did that. So when I hear when people say these Dawa men who go on the street, oh, do black people as well who are feeling inferior to Arabs be on the street like, oh my God, yeah, how can you be a Christian? Christians enslaved you. I'm thinking, wait, Arabs enslaved you as well though.
Like you need to, yes.
Exactly.
But
I live in the UK. Yes, the same people that came to you, the same people that came to you 100 years ago. The English, the British, the colonizer.
What did the Moors do? Where was the Khilafah? You imagine about Khilafah. What was the Khilafah during the slavery period?
Oh man, looked into the camera for that one.
Exactly.
To be honest, or slavery in the Ottoman Empire and the same thing.
What did Abdul Hamid do? That me want to know. Bringing it back to today.
Right, you can't marry outside of your community. You go to an
definitely can't marry into their community.
You go to an Egyptian man, you can't marry his daughter. You go to another man, you can't marry his daughter.
No, I'll tell you what they do. I'll tell you what they do to black people to try and quell black people questioning this stuff. They pull Bilal up, so that's what they do.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord.
Oh, but Bilal was a slave, and Muhammad liked him. All masters have their favorite slaves, and Bilal was just a favorite slave. As a matter of fact, to tell me, oh, Muhammad can't be racist because of Bilal, is like saying, oh, slave masters can't be racist because they had sex with their slaves. And we know that slave masters on the plantations of America had sex with black women. Does that mean they're no longer racist because they had sex with a black woman? No, you can still be racist and have sex with a black woman. You can still be racist and have a favorite slave. And that's all Bilal was, Muhammad's favorite slave. Okay, so don't give me no story about no goddamn Bilal. Okay, Bilal was a happy slave, and let him be a happy slave, but that don't mean shit to me, because what happened after Bilal is that Islam came into North Africa, as I said in the video, raping, robbing, pillaging, and enslaving. 20 million Africans dead, and they're talking about Bilal. You got 20 million dead, 20 million enslaved, but you're talking about one Bilal. One Bilal don't mean shit to 20 million. I'm just letting you guys know that. One Bilal does not mean shit to 20 million Africans being mistreated. So stop pulling Bilal out of your fucking ass, please, because I don't give a damn about your damn Bilal, okay? Oh, but Bilal was a slave, and Muhammad liked him.
You ain't black. Seven. You ain't black. 7 clean. Yeah. So now I have not 1% African in me. I am more black than you just from the color of my cotton.
See, my first video that anyone ever heard me on was me talking about brother Muhammad Tawheed, me and him beefing on Facebook. Him telling me I'm too black to be a Muslim because I got pictures of Moors all over my page, and when I'm trying to talk to him about how he's dealing with the black people at the park, I'm like, hey, you're doing too much.
He said that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Too black to be a Muslim.
Jeez,
you know what I'm saying? So when these men come through talking about, oh, we're defending Ahmed Ali, these men take the piss out of Ahmed Ali all day.
Check the comment section and let's see what people say about that.
There is a video of this so-called preacher, Islamic preacher. He was addressing people on Eid Day, and he was telling them, don't act like a black, you know, don't speak like a black.
Brothers, we're not black. Let's stop talking like we're black. Let's talk in a decent way with decent manners. Allah doesn't like. Allah says you don't know.
And this statement is an evil statement, disgusting statement. It has nothing to do with Islam. My brother, do it. Come out again. Say, I'm free from that statement. That is a dirty, disgusting, evil statement. Bro, you look like a microphone with this software, bro. I love this. Bro, you look like a microphone with this software, bro. I love this. My brother, do it. Come out again. Say, I'm free from that statement. That is a dirty, disgusting, evil statement.
This is a Somali, bro. The Somali was a Somali who took Islam to Maldives Island. It was a Somali that actually
it wasn't a Moroccan.
Shut up with that Moroccan thing. It was Somali. Nah.
Bro, you are embarrassment.
Stop making everything.
Bro, you look like a microphone with this software.
I love this. Making everything.
Bro, you look like a microphone with this software, bro.
I love this. Making everything.
Bro, you look like a microphone with this.
Yeah, you are my African queen. Ooh, Lord, just like the sun, light up the earth, you light up my life. The only one I ever see with a smile so bright. And just yesterday, you came around my way. My horse in way with your astonishing beauty. Oh, you couldn't make a brother sing. No ordinary thing, a supernatural being. And no, you are brighter than the moon, brighter than the star. I love you just the way you are. And you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. Yeah. You make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. And you remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty. Yeah. Ooh, you are my African queen.
With that Moroccan thing, it was Somali. Nah. Bro, you are embarrassment. Stop making everything.
Bro, you look like a microphone with this software.
I love this. Making everything.
Bro, you look like a microphone with this software, bro.
I love this.
Girl, what I see is paradise. Hey, you captivated my soul. Now every day I want you more. I cannot deny this feeling I'm feeling inside.
Then you're gonna have fatwa that say in the tradition that say the dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. What? And
traditional
wait, let me continue. The dowry of a black woman is less because she's less desirable. What? And
traditional
wait, let me continue. Please. And a black woman doesn't need a wali because she can't get married, basically. Because she finds it difficult to get married, so to make it easier.
That is found where?
That's social control. Yeah, please.
That's social control. Like the black woman doesn't have to wear niqab.
Oh yeah, not wearing niqab.
That is found where? In traditional text. Which ones?
Shafi madhab. Some in the Maliki school as well.
So I know what I am feeling in my heart and in my soul. Oh, I know that it's this love, and I know that this love was surely sent from up above. Cause you're the only one that I think of. You are my African queen, and I know that it means that you're the only one that I will serve. I'll give you my heart, my love, my body and my money. Every other thing you think of. In a man who could think of anything better than you, who could think of ever hurting you. Sacrifice my all, I'll give it all to you. You are my African queen.
There are people, yeah, that I converse with, and there are people that when I speak, I just teach. Okay, you, my friend, would be someone that I teach. This is not a conversation, bro. Okay.
Arabs, I feel, can be the most racist people, especially Arabs from back home, which really hurts me. I'm going to read out some of the comments that I got on the picture because I think some people need to realize what is going on here. Here you look like a N-word. Some comments I just can't even read out, like it's that bad. Honestly, you know, when I was reading this, I was thinking, I actually felt my heart sink.
I'm tired of having to explain Islam to people.
And at the mosque, when it's time to pray, sisters slide their feet away from mine.
Of Black Muslims that I've spoken to have felt like Muslims of other races don't want to engage with Black Muslims. So like, I would say we have a lot to work on in terms of like race and getting over cultural boundaries.
Now, why would you defend racism as a Black person? I don't understand why you would do that. That is a different, that's a deep wash. You know when you put something on a deep wash of brainwash, that's a deep one. It's gone into the very atoms of the brain now. You know, it's seeped all through the atoms and the protons and electrons and the neutrons of the brain, and it's just, you're totally gone. Why? I said, why or why? When and it's what's interesting, I will bring up the Black Muslim slave trade to Black people, and they'll get angry at me. I'm like, I'm talking about your fucking history, bro. I'm talking about our history. Like, why are you angry at me? Like, why are you angry at me? Like, this is actually part of the history of the world. Like, you can't be angry at me. Like, why? I don't know, man. Why? I don't know, man. Why? I don't know, man.
What, are you racist, cuz?
No.
Are you sure?
Wallahi, I'm not racist.
Say wallahi, you've never
Wallahi,
said a racist statement.
wallahi, I'm not
I got my
racist.
Quran, will you say it on the Quran?
I touch the Quran, I'm not racist.
And say you're not racist?
Yes, I'm not racist.
100%.
Wallahi, in my mother's life, I'm not racist.
Alright.
Put your hand on the Quran, no, of course. Put your hand on the Quran, bro. Wallahi, I'm not racist. Yeah? Wallahi, I'm not racist. Okay.
It was at this moment Jackson knew. He f***ed up.
I'm gonna play it one more time.
Even after knowing you're my cousin and shit. It's strange, you know?
Translate that to the people.
Yeah, hold on. Don't worry.
Even after knowing...
Where's the full conversation? Where's the full conversation?
I don't care, blood.
You see what you said, blood? No.
You see what you said. You see what you said.
No. Where's the full conversation? Where's the full conversation of that? Where's the full conversation? No. I need to hear the full conversation of that. I need to hear the full conversation of that because no way that's...
If you need context, I don't need no context.
I want a context of that.
What the way it means is, how did the son of a black man, woman, make you a moderator even after knowing you're my cousin?
No.
I don't understand.
I was reading... Hold on a second. I was reading a comment.
Son of a nigger.
No.
How can you swear on the Quran and then lie? That takes some balls. I think people that do that, they must not believe in God then. Or you're doing what God sanctions you to do. You're allowed to lie to the kuffar, no?
People, I swear to God, behind your backs, we hate you guys so much. You guys are so blind. When we come to your countries, we are not coming because we are friends. In our hearts, in our houses, we talk about you guys like you are our biggest enemies. Allah says in the Quran that the Christians and the Jews are your enemies. If you come to our country and destroy our country, we will come to yours and we will destroy your country. You don't understand that.
So are you planning to come to America and do like a terrorist attack?
I don't have to plan anything. My people are already there.
Okay. Well, let them try. We'll make them shish kebab anyway.
We are not going to attack. You know what we're going to do? We're going to get into your government. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, okay. And
And look right now who you elected. You elected a Somalian woman as your one of your senators, one of your ministers. You guys are so dumb in America, wallahi.
I agree with you. You are right.
And look, 85% in Minnesota of Somalians, 85%. Soon it will not even be 85, it will be 100%. Wallahi, inshallah, it will be 100. And that's what will happen when it become 100.
What will happen?
They will bring us over. We will come to take over your whole country, inshallah. You know what the Christian people do? Some of them convert to Christian. You know what they do?
What do you do?
They hide under the floor, wallahi. So you know why?
But even they hide.
We will never accept them as human beings, ever.
Look what you said. You just said that they hide under the floor, but yet they are Somalian.
You are Catholic. You are allowed to be lied to. Catholic. You are allowed to be lied to.
Catholic. You are allowed to be lied to. I agree. You are, because you are a satanic religion. You are allowed to lie to everybody because you are for your own sake.
First of all, I'm very disappointed because most of my followers are Muslim and most of the comments that were coming was, why are you so dark, you look ugly. Arabs and South Asians, Middle Eastern people in general, find it okay to be so racist. And most of you guys are Muslim.
What's your name, bro?
Nice to meet you, I'm Nizzy.
Nizzy, how you doing, bro?
I'm alright.
Right, fire away, man.
Alright, my first question. Why do you think the information about blacks being sold in the Arab world is not mainstream news?
I don't think it goes with the mainstream narrative. I feel like blacks and Arabs are a quote-unquote minority, right? In wherever they go.
Yeah.
That's what they're classed as. And so what I find is minorities generally try to group together and say, look, we're all minorities, we're all going through the same thing. And I think, personally, I don't think people are ready to kind of, you know, say, okay, but we are all a minority, but what I tend to find that black people become the minority's minority.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? We
worse.
become the minority's minority. So while we are a minority, like when we go to the Arab lands, you know, as you said, I've shown the video on my channel.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? You see the video?
Was quite deep, yeah.
And it's like, we are the minority in their lands. And it's like, I don't know. And I also think there's a game being played. I think minorities play a game of knowing that black people want to unify
with them, yeah.
With them.
Nowhere can you buy a black person in this world except for the Arab Muslim world. You can't buy no black people no more. Black people are on auction block in Europe, but they're on auction blocks in the Muslim Arab world though.
We're ushered into one of two auctions happening on this same night. Crouched at the back of the yard, a floodlight obscuring much of the scene. One by one, men are brought out as the bidding begins. 400, 500, 550, 600, 650, 700. Very quickly, it's over.
And they kept bringing out what they kept referring to in Arabic as al-budaa, the merchandise. All in all, they admitted to us that there were 12 Nigerians that were sold in front of us. And
Take your black ass over to Saudi Arabia, see how they treat you. Take your black ass over to the Muslim world, see how they treat you. Yeah, even to Pakistan, Libya. Don't talk shit to me, bro.
They sell Africans over there, in Libya. They sell men. Even 15-year-old Libyans are there in a car, they're armed. They'll come and kidnap you, and they'll sell you for $70 to $150. And then others will resell you.
People are suffering. People are dying.
a man addressing an unseen crowd. Big strong boys for farm work, he says. 400. 700. 700. 800. The numbers roll in. These men are sold for 1,200 Libyan pounds, $400 a piece.
I'm not even denying colonization, enslavement. But you know what's funny about white people? You will speak to them, yeah, and they will say, you know what, I know, it's fucked. I know, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. They will have some kind of remorse. Speak to Muslims about Africans being enslaved. Speak to them and see what they say. Oh, well, it wasn't like that. It was like this. When you were a slave, you were treated well. And I'm like, these motherfuckers still trying to justify. They're still trying to justify this shit. They're still trying to justify it.
It wasn't just like, oh, you consider just have sex with this. Many men they didn't view slaves in that manner, because there was also male slaves as well. So they didn't view them in that manner. So they used to take care of them. They had to take care of them, and they had to feed them and clothe them, and also provide for them.
Okay, so you think it's okay if people come into Mecca, kill everybody and have sex with Khadija? That's okay for you?
No, because the premise I start with is Islam is true. So what I'm saying is,
if a Muslim does it, it's okay. If somebody else does it, it's not okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
As soon as you arrive in Libya, the first thing that happens is that you are taken away and sold. Our black brothers from West Africa, wherever you are from, a Malian, a Senegalese, or any other nationality from the West, even an Ivorian, you are sold. And for what? $700.
Other migrants now start to come forward with their stories.
They took people to work by force. Even where we are at the seaside, where we are working the work, they will be beating you. When you are working the work, I'm doing your work. They will be patrolling us.
Another man, claiming to be a buyer. Off camera, someone asks, what happened to the ones from Niger? Sold off, he's told.
The term slave is synonymous with black. Instead of saying, oh, that bunch of black guys over there, they will say that bunch of slaves over there.
Literally had a non-black Arab girl today use the word Abid right in front of me, and then I was like, hold up, pause, time out, what'd you say? She's like, no, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about those people. Like, what do you mean, those people? Do you not see that I am black as well? Black as hell?
They are still being called by their ancestral names, slaves. Black Iraqis who have lived for hundreds of years in the southern province of Basra say they are discriminated against.
There are traditions in this society. People might say it doesn't exist, but we feel it. For example, when two people fight in the street, one is black and the other one is white. They say X had a fight with a slave. It really hurts.
Sha'ban is a member of the Movement for Free Iraqis. He advocates for more rights for black Iraqis, like parliament representation and more jobs. He says there's a conspiracy against them.
Why is there no black merchant or a senior black official in the state? We concluded that there's no place for the black in the Iraqi society or in the state.
They live in poverty and on the margins of society, working in low-paid professions.
And I'm like, that doesn't make you think a certain way. That doesn't make you think, hang on a minute, that's tough.
فكان الأسود وما يزال ينظر له نظرة العبد ونظرة الدونية التي أورثها موروثها من السابق ولغاية الآن. فينظر إلى الإنسان الأسود أنه أقل قيمة وأقل أهمية وكأنه حملا متروكا لا أحد يعيره أي اهتمام. حتى السياسيين حتى الكتاب حتى الباحثين لم يعطوا الإنسان وقضايا الإنسان الأسود أي أهمية.
أنا أكون عبد أسود ذاك احترام ماكو تقدير ماكو.
There's nothing in you that stirs as a black man and says, you know what, I can't be treated like this.
Oh, freedom.
And don't forget the house nigger.
انك كنتم عند واحد اسمه ضيف الله الهندوي وبعدين توفوا وتقاسموكم. هل انت تشعر انك ممتلكة ملكي سيدك ولا ما انتش ملكه؟
لا ملك.
ها؟
لا ملك.
انت ملك سيدك؟ تشعر انت نفسك؟
كنت تشعر أني مجبور على أنك تشعر. مجبور على أنك تشعر.
يعني إنك ملك مثلك مثل الغنم مثل أي حاجة صح؟
مجبور على أنك تشعر بهذا الشعور.
ومن أكثر واحد قسوة عليكم منهم؟
أكثر واحد
قاسي. كم عمره ذا؟
عمره 19 20.
من معه؟
مع أختي.
أختك هي عمرها 16 سنة صح؟ هو عمره 19 سنة. هل ممكن مثلا اليوم يتحرش بها يعني زي هكذا أشياء؟
ما أدري.
ها؟
ما أدري.
ليش؟
The thing is, Mauritania, I think it was Mauritania in North Africa only outlawed slavery in 2007. Okay, so yeah, they were late. Like North Africa's been very late on the abolition of the slave stuff, you know, and so which is why it still goes on today. Because if you only outlawed it in like 2007 or something like that, of course we're going to find it in Libya in 2017. Like it's only 10 years.
Mauritania in 1981 became the last country in the world to abolish slavery. There was no punishment for slave owners until 2007. The UN says 10 to 20% of Mauritanians live in slavery today. The UN says 10 to 20% of Mauritanians live in slavery today. We traveled to the country on the western fringe of the Sahara to see for ourselves. We would meet people who never knew freedom, people who escaped to find their lives hadn't changed, and abolitionists who have been fighting against slavery for years with minimal results. We weren't allowed to be reporting on slavery. It's a practice the government tries to hide from outsiders. But as we would find, slavery is everywhere in Mauritania, if you know where to look.
Les chaînes, c'est pour les captifs. Les chaînes, c'est pour l'esclave qui vient de devenir esclave. Mais l'esclave descendant de plusieurs générations, il est esclave même dans sa tête. Et il est totalement soumis. Et c'est malheureusement ce genre d'esclavage que nous avons aujourd'hui. Celui dont rêvait le planteur américain.
One woman we met is trying to bring her case to court. The government is keeping a close eye on her to stop her from telling her story.
كنا يبطنا مسرحنا بايقة من الحيوان البقار والغنم والبن وظلوا السراحة ما من نجي نعود مطيشين شي من والله شي تريف يخبط فوقنا التعمار ويبطنا البط الشديد وباني بنا كاملين شاكين كان يبطني بعد يبطوني كاملين يبطون بالعمد وبالدبابيس وندوروا فيهم حقنا كاملا.
You can't have true consent in such a scenario. Masters and slaves.
الحرب من النساء هم ملكيين بمعنى إن عشان أجلهم.
You can't have true consent in such a scenario. Masters and slaves.
بيصبحوا ملكا للقائد أو للجيش أو للمسلم.
Wallah, you're a crook. You are a crook. You are a crook.
يستمتع بيهم كما يستمتع بزوجته.
Problems like these are even more obvious when one leaves the religion and stops making excuses for this immorality masquerading as religious virtue.
كان يبطني بعد يبطوني كاملين يبطون بالعمد وبالدبابيس وندوروا فيهم حقنا كاملا.
So disrespectful. That shit got me so hot.
والله كنت تركها لا تركتهم هم المخدين. لا تركت لكن المخدين.
Where was the outcry? Like, where's the outcry in the amongst black people in the Arab Muslim world, when we can see from where we are that there's still slavery going on with black people and Muslim Arabs. Where is the outcry within the actual community, within the black community, within Islam? It's like they don't care about it. It's like they're just used to that being their status, and it's like their pride's gone, and it's a shame to me. Like it's actually a shame.
Maids account for 10.2% of the total Bahraini workforce and 36.6% of the total female workforce in Bahrain. More than 95% of the total number of maids and personal assistants in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates are foreign female workers. There are 750,000 maids in the United Arab Emirates. 96% of Emirates families hire maids to take care of their children. The Ethiopian consulate in Dubai receives between 5 to 10 complaints from housemaids each day, mainly on issues of unpaid salaries and physical abuse.
I was to come and work in a restaurant, only to my surprise that I came and got myself in the house.
Always, I was working from 6:30. I woke up from 6:30 in the morning, and I work until 11, non-stop.
It was just all lies. They lied to me. And I'm very discouraged, very discouraged.
They are very rich, but I'm working for them, but it's hard for them to pay me money. The house is very big, but they are making me sleep in the floor. They treat me like a trash. They don't see me like I'm a human being.
Go chat to your Muslim brethren as to how they view black people before you come and chat to me. Don't you dare ever.
They don't think of you as a human being. They think you as a slave to them.
Of Muslims under Islam are still enslaving African people in Libya, in Saudi, in Sudan, right now. Right now.
هذا بابا هذا ماما. اسمها اسمها عربي لأنها مسلم.
من غانا ولا من بنين؟
أنا أنسى من كذا ما غانا فينا مدري شنو.
من وين؟
ها؟
غينيا. أوكي.
This is all wrong.
We're shocked to find this woman offering to sell us a child. The young girl seems withdrawn and confused.
Je vais te parler en français. Tu as quel âge? Combien? 16 ans.
How dare you?
Tu as quel âge? Combien? 16 ans.
How dare you?
So black people over here will think, oh no, see the Arab guys and the Pakistani guys, they're our friends because they're minorities too. Yeah? Go to their country, see how you treat. Go and see how your friends treat you. Go on, go and see how your friends really treat you.
I don't think there is a human rights in this world. No way. Maybe in Europe, but not in the Middle East. I don't think there is a human rights in this world. No way. Maybe in Europe, but not in the Middle East.
عم بتصل بيك مشان الشغال المحطوط على الانترنت عندك.
للأمانة الشهادة لله ما أساسها زينة، ولو تقعدت الساعة 5 الفجر ما تكشف نفسها وزينة.
هنا اللي بنشوفها.
In the Gulf, women employed as domestic workers are being sold online via apps approved and provided by Google and Apple. It's been called an online slave market. Our BBC News Arabic team posed as a husband and wife looking to buy a domestic worker in Kuwait.
Ready?
An app called For Sale is used to buy and sell domestic workers alongside cars and TVs. The BBC team spoke to 57 users of For Sale who were selling their domestic workers online for thousands of pounds. Most women had no knowledge they were being advertised online and then sold.
عندها فكرة إن هي حتنتقل على مكان ثاني أو ما عندها مانع بالموضوع؟ ما قلت لها؟
ما عندها مشكلة، واحدة جاية تشتغل.
They were also denying domestic workers their basic human rights.
إجازة بتاخد إجازة؟
لا إحنا ككويتيين ما نخلي صراحة، إحنا مجرمين.
أوكي. بالنسبة للموبايل وهيك؟
لا انسى موضوع الموبايل هذا، ما اعتقد انه يعني هذا من النوع اللي مو متعلم، فاهمني؟
يعني ما بدها تتكلم مع اهلها مثلا، اذا بتتكلم مع اهلها او كذا؟
يمكن مع اهلها تعطيكم مرة في شيء.
Here we come across 5 young women who have escaped their employers' clutches. Now they are stuck in Dubai. They want to remain anonymous for fear of the police. If they are caught in a raid, they will go to jail.
They lure the women with fake work contracts and promises for a better life. But on arrival, these women are shocked to find out that instead of being taken to a hotel or office where they were meant to work, they are being sent to a private home to work as maids. What's even worse is that if the worker tries to run away, she is the one who gets jailed.
Beaten, tortured, others sexually assaulted.
It was inhuman. And the day I was sworn in as a senator, that is when the battle started.
Sikudhania bibi yangu atarudi hivyo.
As a mother, as a leader, I will not stand, I will not sit and watch this kind of.
The employer is never held accountable, even if his violations against the worker are proven.
My name is Fuzia Wanjiro from Kenya. I worked as a domestic worker in Saudi Arabia, where I never knew that I was going to Saudi Arabia to work as a domestic worker. I knew I was going to Qatar to work as a receptionist. Then when I reached Qatar, I was told like, no, you still have another flight to Saudi Arabia. So I was very much confused on what to do. I can't connect back to my people because my SIM card when I arrived in Qatar, it didn't work. They abuse you a lot. The boys on the house, they know you're a slave to them. You don't have anything to say to them. You can't confront them. When you iron clothes, you iron the whole family clothes. You can take even 5 hours, 6 hours ironing clothes. You don't rest that much. They are telling you like, you know, you're beautiful. We know you're beautiful. No, can you do, if they ask for favors, which it's not allowed because if you do that favor they want, you'll be jailed. Or the woman in the house, she'll kill you. Like other girls have been done. Most of girls, like 3 or 4 Kenyans were killed. About that, they're having an affair with their bosses. Because you feel like, if I go back home, what will I go to do? I left my family. I came here to look for something good for them, to benefit them. But here I am. The boss is demanding for something maybe. Then you feel, okay. He says, if you don't do it, I'll tell my wife you're doing this. So you feel so low, then you feel, okay, let me do it because if he lies or if he says something else, they will believe him than they will believe me. So you end up doing things which you're not supposed to do. They don't think of you as a human being. They think you as a slave to them. You're begging for your salary because they don't want to give it to you. So after I finished my contract, I asked them, can you let me leave now? They said, no. You need to add up 1 year, then you can leave so we can be able to get another maid to come and work for us. I was misused. They used to tell me so many things. I used to cry, but I don't have someone to cry to. Until one day I decided to leave their house and go outside. I went to the police station and I stayed there for 3 weeks. They called my boss and my boss was like, don't let her leave. We still need her. Then I said, let me go. I need to see my family. I need to go. I'm tired of you guys. They said, no. The boss says, I'll start saying, I'll accuse you of stealing. I'll say this and this. You won't go back to your country. And I used to pray and cry a lot.
Speak to Muslims about Africans being enslaved. Speak to them and see what they say. Oh well, it wasn't like that. It was like this. When you were a slave, you were treated well. And I'm like, these motherfuckers still trying to justify. They're still trying to justify this shit. They're still trying to justify it.
they didn't view slaves in that manner, because there was also male slaves as well, so they didn't view them in that manner. So they used to take care of them. They had to take care of them, and they had to feed them and clothe them and also provide for them.
Okay, so you think it's okay if people come into Mecca, kill everybody and have sex with Khadija? That's okay for you?
No, because the premise I start with is Islam is true. So what I'm saying is,
if a Muslim does it, it's okay. If somebody else does it, it's not okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm saying is,
if a Muslim does it, it's okay. If somebody else does it, it's not okay.
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm saying is,
if a Muslim does it, it's okay. If somebody else does it, it's not okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're here in northern Ghana.
You see, about 100 years ago, the British Empire came to this country with their missionaries, and they told the people that Jesus should be believed in as God. Yes, they tried to take your minerals. They tried to take your gold.
Anga banga banga. Anga banga banga. Anga banga banga.
Yes, they tried to take your minerals. They tried to take your gold.
Anga banga banga.
Banga, banga, banga. The same people that came to you 100 years ago. The English, the British, the colonizer. The English, the British, the colonizer.
The Arab conquest of North Africa, was that a form of colonization?
Absolutely. That the Arab conquest of North Africa was a form of colonization that took place in the 7th century, when Arab Muslims burst out of Saudi Arabia and conquered Egypt and went on to conquer the whole of North Africa. There were a lot of Berber tribes there. The Egyptian Copts were the original indigenous of the land, as well as the Berbers. And they were all conquered and Islamized and Arabized. That was also a form of colonization, definitely.
Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this? Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this? Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this? Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this? Now, do Muslims today acknowledge this? Are they self-critical about this?
Not to the extent that the West has become very critical. In fact, many Muslims don't even admit that there was any form of colonization.
The English, the British, the colonizer, the imperial power that came to the Gold Coast.
In fact, many Muslims don't even...
Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves?
Prophet Muhammad didn't have slaves, brother.
Yo, I'm out of here. I'm done.
So what I'm saying is,
if a Muslim does it, it's okay. If somebody else does it, it's not okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't you think intelligent black men and women would now denounce a God that can be called on by the slave master, who can perpetuate his imprisonment on your people year in and year out to no avail, making us eunuchs, double castrating us, cutting our penis and our balls off, and now you tell me it is safe to study and adhere to the very religion that the man that double castrated us in the East got away with so he can have sex with our women? Are you kidding me? Explain. Why should we worship your God when he ain't do shit for black people all those years? Why?
A poor neighbourhood of Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott. Habi and her son don't have much, but even so, it's a lot more than they used to have when Habi was a slave to an Arab family. 2 years ago, an organisation campaigning against slavery rescued her from her former masters.
In the beginning, it was very difficult for me. It was very difficult to leave my masters because I thought there weren't any other options. I just couldn't imagine I'd be able to live without them.
Biram Ould Abaid works for the NGO in question, SOS Slaves. He says it's freed more than 50 slaves over the past 2 years, but that there are thousands more still out there. The slaves are mainly from the ethnic community known as the Haracene, a group oppressed for 800 years in the region, so long that slaves too often simply accept their fate as an inferior caste.
When you talk about slaves in Mauritania, you're talking about people who were born slaves. That means who work with no salary, who have no rights with their children, no right to education, and if it's a woman, she must sleep with her masters at their will.
Why should we worship your God when he ain't do shit for us?
But let's get this understood. First of all, when we using this context of slavery, we have to understand.
Are you going to answer the question because you did this the other night?
Hold on. Check this out. When you use the context of slavery, you have to know what slavery is, right? So slavery is to put yourself in bondage, right? To be in bondage, right? So what the white man did was not just put us in bondage.
No. Let's talk about that goddamn Arab. Let's talk about that Arab first.
We're using this term slavery and making it synonymous across the board, which is a very, very big mistake.
So the Muslims didn't enslave black people? Black Muslims didn't enslave black people the way I'm talking about?
Listen.
Hold on, before we move forward, stop. Before we move forward, I am talking about castration. I'm talking about being murdered. I'm talking about not having the right of freedom to read or write what I want. Are you saying Muslims did not do this in the name of Allah to black people?
I'm telling you, Muslims did not do that in the name of Allah to black people.
All right, yo, I'm done talking to him. Yo, we talk to you later. So I can't do this. I'm not doing this. But I'm not going to let no nigga tell me that Muslims didn't oppress and enslave and castrate and lynch and incapacitate, stop us from reading and writing. I'm not going to let no nigga tell me that. In the name of Allah, in the name of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the same damn demon that was used and called upon to enslave our people. You can't get away with that. I would be wrong to allow the people to listen to you speak any further. At least keep it real and say.
أن الإنسان لا يخجل من دينه ويقول لا هذا قبل والإسلام لا يدعو إلى هذا. لا، كن قويا في دينك، أظهر دينك. نعم هذا ديني، نعم. الذي لا يرضى أن يعبد الله تبارك وتعالى فإنه يستعبد أو يدفع الجزية أو يدخل في الإسلام أو يقاتل. هذه الأحوال الأربعة أبدا، لا يوجد حال خامس. لذا أول ما يدعى الإنسان يدعى الإسلام، يقال اعبد الله تبارك وتعالى. الله خلقك لتعبده، فإذا قال لا أريد أن أعبد الله تبارك، نقول تعيش في أرض الله ولا تعبده، ادفع الجزية. يقول ولن أدفع الجزية. فإذا رفض أن يعبد الله ورفض أن يدفع الجزية، نقول له إذن ما لنا معك إلا القتال، فنقاتله لأجل هذا. فإن قتلناه فهو في النار، وإن أسرناه فهو من السبيل.
Now we got to get into what slavery is. So what you going to do? Tell me about a fancy rendition of slavery that is different so we can let these motherfuckers off the hook? Are you serious? The one that is trying to present the slave master's trash to you and tell you now that they ain't enslaved us. How the hell am I going to allow him to speak on this show is supposed to be for educational purposes. I don't mind disagreeing with somebody, but this ain't gonna be like the other night with Bashir when he's trying what's the definition of good? All this craziness. Now, what is slavery, brother? Brother, you know what slavery I'm talking about. I'm talking about us being made into eunuchs. I'm talking about us not being able to reproduce ourselves. I'm talking about us not having the freedom and the privilege to be left to our own vices so we can advance our own society or destroy it of our own free will and of our own accord. That's what I'm talking about. So let's not play crazy when we talk about slavery. You ain't gonna give me no fancy slavery, because I ain't talking about no fancy slavery. I ain't talking about no indentured servants. I know what you're talking about. I'm not crazy. I know the willing slavery, indentured servitude that people could go into and then be returned to their family. We're not going to play games like the slavery that I'm talking about didn't transpire within the confines of Islam. That is disrespectful to black people, and you are hiding the facts on behalf of your Arab slave master. You hiding for the Arab slave master, who, in my opinion, is worse than the white slave master. The white slave master monetized slavery and made niggas think it was more impressive to be a slave under the white man than the Arab, because the Arab is so damn vicious to us. You see all those mulattoes running around in Africa right now? You think light-skinned people were naturally populated Africa? They double castrated us and raped the women by the millions. The man in the world leading and most babies ever made was a damn Muslim who had over 10,000 black men in servitude with their penises cut, and had the most women in bondage that were black women, and raped them, every last one of them. And who he couldn't rape, he let his soldiers rape them and watered them down. And that's why you see the coolie hair Arab today that look a little like he's black. It look like he has, phenotypically it looks like he has some black features. And you're gonna ignore all of that and tell me no Muslim enslaved us? You gonna ignore all of that and see them black features on them Arabs and think that that is natural? All because you're trying to protect the law? You can't do that. Not until you admit Muslims enslaved black people. Hold on. You can't talk until you admit Muslims enslaved black people.
Admit that, but take you and cut you up and rape your women. And
yes.
But they are not Muslim.
I hear you.
The Quran.
They ain't have a Quran in their goddamn hand.
So if you show me the Quran where it says to castrate them, then I'll say, you know what, Quran? You're absolutely right.
Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves? Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves? Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves?
Prophet Muhammad didn't have slaves, brother.
Yo, I'm out of here. I'm done.
Islam de manipa abadimafo obi abadwembeni no yekmoni e meka amfatimase no amafantama no abadwemmafo yenkremofo nko a obi nyekremoni onye abadwembeni sa na tie maka. I don't fear. I am saying this without fear and panic. Obi yekremoni onye abadwembeni abadwemmafo nko yenkremofo tie mi ye pa nyame bo Islam, salam, Islam so de mabadwe mafo